So I'm Amanda Wyatt, Visconti, they, them. I am a letterpress broadside printer, and I run my own small proof press, doing both mutual aid printing fundraising and selling prints to raise funds for a home press one day. My printing work is fueled by care for social justice, letterpress accessibility, taking joy in experimenting and tinkering, and indulging in the aesthetics I most like to make, which, as you will see, sorry, is a lot of bright colors, a lot of text, very sincere, silly, and joyful. My day job is directing a digital humanities research and teaching center at the Scholars Lab at the University of Virginia. And today I'm going to share some ways that my printing practice intersects with the kinds of makerspace, experimental, and digital work found in the digital humanities. I value and practice non-digital and traditional letterpress craft as well, as with typeset anti-fascist vegetable puns on the left, or my lead type remix of Ward's "This is a Printing Office" poem on the right of the slide. I find Ward's original text a bit too satisfied with anything coming under the heading of printing, when we know that technologies, whether or not they're digital, are only how they're used and how they impact people. So my remix uses text from a scientific report that tried to craft language that would still be clear in hundreds of years to warn people concealed nuclear waste sites weren't buried treasure. You may have heard the line, "This is not a place of honor." And I also wrote my own critical tech text, including, "But it could be a place of hope," because that's how I feel about our printing office. While I'm sharing more digital-ish things today, I'm just as interested in experimenting with non-digital ways of making letterpress art, including printing with type high red cabbage, using painter's tape to get a cool haloed Xerox effect on a halftone printing block, playing around with textural modifications to brayers to get neat effects on inked type, and reading Paul Moxon's wonderful manual and history of Vandercook printing presses to try to deeply understand the possibilities and the limits of the machine that I'm working with. One such non-digital example is my Broken is a Relative Term print, where the large text is actually all printed from pieces of broken wood sorts found at the Penland Letterpress studio. The smaller text explores human value and identity under capitalism, craft, and disability. My laser cutting work sometimes means I draw a design by hand, scan it, and digitally edit it for laser cutting. For my Hope is a Thing with Wings print, I drew two origami cranes using marker, scanned them, and cut them into acrylic. I was then able to include my simple art in the poster's many copies. Sometimes I find historical images from scans of newspapers or manuscripts in the archive, and I digitally edit them to be laser cuttable. Vaporware Luddites channels some big feelings that I have about unethical resource focusing on AI and higher ed right now. It uses blocks that I laser cut in bamboo. That large Luddite figure is from an 1800s newspaper illustration, and that's actually a 9-inch tall IKEA cutting board that it's on. Acrylic, the computer, and hard maple, the dancing skeleton and the glitch their systems block. I decided to only mask out bits of the bamboo grain from that Luddite block, the ones that conflicted with text readability, as I thought it actually looked pretty cool. Sometimes I laser cut existing fonts into catchwords or movable type. HTML is the letterpress of the digital world for my coders out there. It uses laser cut keywords for special glitchy fonts, as well as lead type, craft foam triangles, and garden anti-bird netting for texture. Laser cutting has many similarities to photopolymer. I use laser cutting instead because I've got the equipment to make things myself when I want them and print immediately after, rather than waiting for the mail. There are really three big things that I love about laser cutting. The first here is that it supports remote collaborations, often around social justice advocacy, like the printing blocks I made from art shared on Blue Sky for reuse by many people, by the artist Miles, which let me print letterpress posters using Miles' lovely art of the Portland frog hero that you see there. Laser cutting also let me collaborate on a cross-country request to make a letterpress-friendly version of another artist's painting of an anatomical heart. I digitally split the painting into different areas by tone and by shape, and I cut those as 3 different printing block layers. You can see the effect when they're printed on top of one another in that upper right corner. And as a trans artist and historian, I also value laser cutting helping me create what doesn't exist yet, or needs memory or intervention. Editing a historical image of a beckoning Luddite led to my reading about his use of a gown, and about historical trans relationships with tech and labor. While I do collect queer and arguably queer historical letterpress cuts or image blocks, and I share them via my Transponder project site, I also explore remixing existing old cuts to queer them, as with the simple green heart addition to these two conversing gents at the bottom of the slide. Here's a print using some of the laser cut blocks from that last slide. And both prints actually on screen use my color it in block that I fill in with markers to make trans letterpress practitioners a bit more visible. Another thing that I love about laser cutting is that it lets me address an access and bias issue that I think about a lot with trying to bring letterpress into our public research and teaching lab. It is way harder to find type in non-Latin scripts or with diacritics from where I am in the US. I've been reading about the many amazing folks doing multilingual digital font and physical type design and making, how this has been done historically. Here's an example that I made in January from Birch in Hebrew of the word pomegranate. And the print that it was part of, you can see in the upper right of each photo, the actual cut and how it printed. I've been practicing laser cutting movable type that's mounted to type high in a variety of materials. I'm hoping to eventually do more type design of my own as well. I also hope to collaborate with writers of various languages beyond the one that I'm limited to make type for and print in more languages. Laser cutting type also lets me intervene in printing history. The queer type on the left is part of making enough, hopefully, large Bernhard type to print a queerly remixed version of an old ATF, American Type Founders ad, which I've digitally mocked up on the right but not been able to print yet. And here is a momentary reprieve from the maximalism and the Technicolor. It's very present in my work. And I'll end with some ways that I try to contribute to letterpress being more accessible to everybody. Enthusiastic Type is my site gathering a variety of free zines that I've authored, research projects on historical printing, queer image blocks, multilingual type, and broken wood type, and some tiny web tools that I've authored, that I've coded, that support letterpress work with scanned type. I run a zine distro, and I also make zines, including a new series that opens with 148 pages introducing typesetting and Vandercook universal printing, and acquiring your first type in press, that are all really focused on welcome and physical and financial accessibility. Those aren't online yet, as they were peer-reviewed and await a journal issues publication, I think this summer, hopefully, academia. But they will be free to read and print as soon as the issue goes live. I also regularly print and I hand out free anti-ICE and anti-fascist posters, and I contribute print proceeds to mutual aid efforts, because letterpress can't be for everyone in a world where so many are living precariously. I try to combine regular advocacy work with joy. I like to think that a press could make you brave and a better community member. And I do believe that working for letterpress for all, and silly and joyful and very extra letterpress, are two great tastes that actually go really well together. Thank you all, and especially thanks to Partners in Print for inviting me and providing talk feedback. And I also wanted to give a shout out to my amazing letterpress mentor, Garrett Queen, who I think might be here today, and to Ammon Shepard and Adam Liesma for teaching me useful laser cutting things. Thank you.